Hungry Tea Party is a point-and-click game made by Number 7. I was drawn to this game by the art on the Steam store, and it was a quick download of only about 30 seconds. I opened up the game to find a smallish window with some creepy background ambience and a menu, after a warning that the game was graphic and violent. In the config part, there is an option to turn the game full screen, which does help. If you click on the gallery, there are a few options. The opening video, the true ending video, and then an information and story option on each of the three main characters of this game: Alice, the Mad Hatter, and the March Hare from the classic story Alice in Wonderland. None of these are available to view until you unlock them, so I went straight into the game. You're then shown a video of yourself receiving your invitation to dinner with the trio. You are a thin and pasty young man who kind of looks like the protagonist from Mob Psycho 100 if he'd never seen the sun. The goal of the game is simply to attend the tea party. There isn't really more instruction than that. Then you get into the game itself. There's only one scene of the trio of characters sat around a gruesome tea party table, each taking on a bit more of a horror twist than their original characters. There is no dialogue in the game, there are only symbols to communicate with, and a set of 5 hearts over each character. The more hearts are in the bar, the more the person likes you, and you have to play around with dialogue options to find out who likes what. You can target each character individually, or you can try and raise status with all 3. But the game can be over very quickly, since as soon as you fill the bar to 5 hearts, your conversation partner might get a bit enthusiastic and find themselves unable to keep their hands off you. Or their teeth. My first play I got the Alice ending, and quite quickly too. It took me about 5 minutes of admittedly clicking on random things before I got to an ending, but after that ending, I went back into the gallery and found I'd unlocked the Alice information and story. Clicking on the Alice part showed me some buzzwords of things that Alice likes and some of her personality. That gave me a clue that some characters have affinity to certain things, and clicking a heart on those items will raise your standing with them. The story part was simply a reshow of the ending you got. I also figured out a couple of things with how the dialogue is placed. A lot of the time when you click on an object, 3 bubbles will appear next to the person you're talking to. Most of the time the 3 bubbles form a sequence, such as an image of a character, a picture of a mouth, and then a picture of a cake. You then get a thumbs up or thumbs down prompt. That is effectively them asking you if they should eat the cake or not. Sometimes they work in a flow, or they can be a simple "do you like this" question, displayed by whatever object it is in between images of a heart or a cross. There are a few others, but in general that's how the dialogue is displayed, and though at first it doesn't appear to make a lot of sense, you can just about suss out what to click if you have an idea of what the characters might be interested in. There is one combination, however, that's advisable to watch out for, and that is the sequence of a character, then a mouth, then this image of a plain-looking man. At first I thought it was an image of the Hatter without his steampunk getup, but it's actually you. If you get this combination of images, then a thumbs up and thumbs down choice, the character is asking you whether you want them to eat you. If you're trying to get the individual character endings, then by all means go for it, but if you want the true ending, I advise not clicking the thumbs up for that one, even if it does make them a bit disgruntled. The second play I managed to get the true ending. Since filling all 5 hearts ends up with you dead, I tried to keep it so that I never got to 5 hearts, but kept a decent standing with all of them, and after enough rounds, it worked. I survived the tea party and got to watch the video. Then I went back in to get the Hatter and Hare endings. The Hatter ending was fairly easy to get, but the Hare ending took me a little more trouble. The initial few choices when you start the game are exactly the same each time regardless of what part of the table you click on, and they tend to flip-flop between being conversations with Alice and the Hatter, so it's fairly difficult to even get into conversation with the Hare. Of course, to get to that point, you have to upset Alice and the Hatter once or twice to make sure their heart bars don't fill up and they don't kill you first. You can save the game, but in all honesty, since it's so short, it feels a little redundant. Restarting from the beginning each time isn't that arduous because you can skip the start video, and the choices after that start taking effect. But there is a little feature where on your save file, dialogue can appear. I don't think that if you save after every choice you can piece together a script, since I saved at different points and had the same piece of dialogue show up, but it does almost give you a clue who you're connecting the most with at that time, though again that's fairly obvious from the hearts. There's another option in the menu to go back to a previous choice. I guess if you make the wrong call you can go back and change it. Obviously that doesn't work if your choice leads to a character killing you, but I suppose it helps if you could have got an extra heart out of it. since making a wrong choice removes one. The art is pretty rough and ready, the line art looking like it's been done with chalk, but that ragged look kind of complements the mood of the setting, as does the chaotic layout of the table and background. The weaker lines also give a chance for the colours to stand out, with lots of bloody reds and lighting in the room showing up more pronounced. The character designs are interesting, though Alice is really the only one that takes on a full horror appearance. The hair is obviously abnormal but not too grotesque, and as said, the Hatter looks more like he's just checked out of a steampunk convention. At least at the table anyway. In each of their endings you get a view of them in full, but half-skeleton Alice still wins the creepy competition hands down. The music choice is admittedly weird and slightly dissonant, but again I suppose that lends a hand to the abnormal vibes of the game. It's an odd mix of what I would call war music and cathedral choir songs. The sound effects are fitting, and in general the atmosphere of the game works pretty well. Overall the game is a little abstract and vague, but it's not entirely bad. There isn't a ton to it in terms of time dedication, since getting all 4 endings took me about 25 minutes. And once you have all of those, there isn't much scope for replay. There's not much instruction to the game, so after one playthrough there is potential that people might still not yet understand what there really is to do with the game. Plus, you only unlock the traits of a character, their likes and dislikes, after you've already got them to like you, which again feels slightly redundant because that information is no longer helpful because you've already got their ending. The design of the game gives it some personality, and it's really just an obscure experience. It's not a massive game, but for a short experience it's not too bad, so I'll give Hungry Tea Party a 6 out of 10.